In the 90s, we started development in the jungle and the mountains, and most of that was because of oil mining and energy. And in 2000 started conflicts. It started social conflict, it started violence. When you see social conflict, it's because the country and the structure is changing and the system is not adapting to those changes.
The mining industry in Peru is huge. It accounts for a huge chunk of the economic growth, but mining is not a clean industry. There's environmental pollution, and because of that environmental pollution, it really affects rural communities around those mining sites.
I think that our plan since the beginning was very clear. We wanted to provide the state, the Peruvian government, with a set of tools in order to achieve and maintain social license, and also in order to make sure that people's human rights were respected, and at the same time do not undermine private investment and the mining industry, which is so important for the Peruvian economy.
Our team consists of 8 CIPA students and 3 Columbia Law students. Also in Peru, we collaborate with Peruvian university students. They were in charge of looking for the communities who we can interview with.
Our client was the government of Peru. There's a new vice ministry created for territorial issues, and they asked us to look into their current policies and legal frameworks to prevent social conflicts.
I think that this office's main goal is to allow the state to get to these areas where traditionally it has been absent, and that is one of the reasons why communities that are impacted by mining industry don't trust the state.
We spent the first part of our trip in Lima, the capital. We were meeting with a lot of government representatives and lawyers and different experts in that area. And then the majority of our group split off, went to Cusco to meet with rural communities just to kind of hear their concerns and see what the situation was in the field.
We visited a lot of communities in the rural side which is affected by the mining project. We were very shocked because they don't have any access to hospitals or they lack access to education. Meeting with the local government, we identified that they also lack information, which is very important to implement the law.
In one instance, we visited a community and we were talking to some community members, and there was a very big mining site close by, and the mining company had promised to pave the road, and they didn't. And then we asked, were there any state officials coming to your community, informing you about the project, asking whether you're fine with it, and there was nobody who came.
It's easy to kind of expect that mining companies are only out to make a profit, but sometimes when mining companies go into the communities, they try to give them a heads up about what kind of impact their operations or their project is going to have, but the communities, because of their low level of education, might not be able to understand that information, and so they get frustrated by the fact that they are going in there being transparent, but they're not being understood.
Most of the social conflicts is because there's no communication. There's a lack of not good relation between the private sector, the social movements, and the government.
The legal framework is so complicated and complex, and every law is overlapping with other regulations and the agencies, and so having the interviews really helped to put the pieces together.
People don't know what is really happening in these areas. So one of the things I like the most about this is that we have done an investigation on the ground, on the field, getting information from the people that really is part of this problem.
We had a lot of recommendations given the fact that there are so many different contributors to the issue. But just to give you an example, on the legal side of things, we recommend that the state just comply with international treaties that it's signed on to, especially in terms of the environmental and social requirements.
Most of the recommendations really try to improve the position of the communities, to strengthen their position, their rights, and then to empower them, to have the state work closer with them and engage them from the very beginning of a project all through a life cycle of this project.
Social conflict is a process and you need to understand the cause of that social problem. The university will help us with tools. First, to understand these social conflicts, what is the cause of that social conflicts, and how we can prevent the social conflicts.
We're building on something, you know? It's not something that has been there before. We're helping them, or we're trying to give them tools in order to build something that, if it works, I think it's gonna change the lives of many Peruvians, and also gonna change the lives of private corporations, of mining companies, and they're gonna feel much more secure of investing in the country.